This award lets me know that Bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao, hola, bienvenue, wan yin, bienvenidos, bienvenita, namaste, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a Gemmological Storyteller. And each and every week, I get a magnificent opportunity to take you on an adventure, to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I take the art, science, history, magic, gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and put them all together into a story. What I've learned over the years and learned more and more each and every day is many of the same characteristics, the same attributes, the same traits that we so highly value in gemstones and precious metals, we don't see in ourselves. So what I do is take those gem stories and use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help people, to empower people, to remind people, take time to discover value of their own stories, of who they are, of how their energy in their life resonates. I wanted to continue on. The Olympics are over. You know, I was in France from some of the time, and I'm back home in the United States, and hopefully you enjoyed the Olympics, because to me, I thought the Olympics 2024 Paris Olympics was phenomenal. I mean, of course, there were things that were wrong, but overall, what I thought when I was part of the planning commission, I didn't have any say. I was just sitting there in the planning commission in 2018, and what eventually manifested from all the years of planning and meetings and things of this manifest last week, in the last 2.5 weeks, and it was just magnificent. From the opening ceremony, I know a lot of people didn't like that, but when you really understand the history of France, you saw how the creativity, the sexuality, all the different things that are the food, the culture, the art, all the things that make France, and more importantly Paris, what Paris is, was really shown in the opening ceremonies, throughout the whole Olympics, and also the closing ceremony. I thought it was just, there were many times when I teared up, just not only just from the events or just the athletes, the accomplishments, the music, stories. It was just an extraordinary event. And I'm just so happy. All the events that I've been watching since, I think I started watching the Olympics seriously, probably 1968, when someone who graduated from my high school, Robert Bob Beamon, who was the 1968 gold medalist in the long jump in Mexico City. I was there in Mexico City, but I remember watching. I was 8 years old when that happened. And to years later find out that I went to the same high school as he did, and to stand next to him to receive a proclamation from the state of New York was just amazing. So I was watching the Olympics from a different point of view, knowing Paris, living in France, just the culture, it spoke to me. So last week we talked about, let me switch screens here. Last week we talked about what it was. What does the Olympics mean? We talked about how the Olympics is the greatest jewelry box in the world. I talked about that. I talked about how the athletes, the things that the athletes do, the things. It was the greatest jewelry box in the world. When you think about, if you follow what I always say about gemstones and people, how gemstones and people are so similar, So if you take that concept and extrapolate on that, then you understand that the Olympics, not just this year, but every year, is a collection of gemstones from all around the world. Different colors, different consistencies, different. We're all humans, obviously, but different consistencies, different chemical compositions to make those athletes who those athletes are. And so the Olympics, every 4 years, summer and winter, are a collection of these gemstones from all over the earth, different environments, different way they grew up, different ways it all came together. And that's what we see when we watch the Olympics. So that was the process, starting the process of thinking what, for me, thinking what the Olympics were. And I made the analogy of that when they come together, it's a jewelry box. Because think about it, these are jewelry boxes. And every time you see a beautiful jewelry box, when you see a jewelry box that looks like this, you're expecting something good in it. Look at the design of the box. This is a Tiffany box. If you go into someone's home and you see a Tiffany jewelry box, most women would know that's a Tiffany box. And if they understand it as a Tiffany box, then that means what? At one point in time, there was something that was from Tiffany in that box. So there's an expectation for greatness. It's an expectation. You don't open up a Tiffany box expecting something, that you would got from Walmart or just the local corner grocery jewelry, little jewelry, cheap jewelry section. No, you're expecting something because it's in a Tiffany box. You're expecting something beautiful when you see a jewelry box like that. And that's what we expect. That's what we think about the months, weeks, months that they're talking about. The Olympics are coming. The Olympics are coming. And some of us follow different sports. So some of us have been watching Simone for a while, or if you're into track and field, we remember what Sakari Richardson did back in Tokyo. So we're wondering what's going to happen this time. What's going to happen? How is she going to represent this time? And we all had our own individual box. So when you open up a jewelry box, there's things that your eyes are attracted to right away. Whether it be a ring, whether it be a necklace, whether it be a pair of earrings, you're expecting something wonderful because it's in that box. And so if you follow that line of thinking, if people are gemstones and those gemstones are in a jewelry box, what we're really looking at are dreams. Think about it. Every one of those athletes, 10,714 athletes competed in this year's Olympics. And each one of them had a dream. Each one of them, there was something that they wanted to do. There was something that they had to say. There was something that they had to be a part of. And that's what they did. That's what was happening when they were in that. Every time they compete in the Olympics, that's what they were saying. They were literally saying to the world, here I am. This is who I am. This is the jewelry box that I'm in. Yeah. So what we're really talking about when we talk about the Olympics, we're talking about dreams. 10,714 athletes in coming out of 206 different nations, 329 events in 32 different sports, all coming together, all in that jewelry box together. And there's different sizes of the jewelry box. There's different. So you had the 329 different events. These are the different events. And if you watched it on television, well, most of us watched it on television, and you looked at your phone or your mobile device, you saw all the different events. You had badminton, you had horse riding, you had BMX, you had breaking, you had every kind of different event. And those athletes are the gemstones in those events. So what the 2024 Olympics was a jewelry box with gemstones from all over the world, competing for 16 days. And what we got out of it were their stories. We were seeing the manifestation of their stories, of how they got there, how they got to that place in their life. So when you look at that jewelry box, and obviously this is a beautiful jewelry box, very deep. So it has a lot of things in it. But look at the box itself. That's what you saw when you saw Paris. You saw a beautiful jewelry box. And in that jewelry box were all those athletes, human beings that could take their bodies, their minds, their spirit to the highest levels of concentration, of discipline. So in that jewelry box were the athletes, with each one of them had dreams, and those dreams manifest as their journey to the 2024 Olympics was their story. And once you understood what the Paris 2024 Olympics were, then you understood that what those athletes represented in that jewelry box was value. What we were watching in that was the value of what they did. No different than a diamond. If you have a diamond that started out like this, if this is a rough diamond, rough sapphire, but a rough diamond, then what you saw when you watched the 2024 Olympics was the finished product. Was the finished product of all that work. It started here. It might have started as a child. It might have started as a young adult. It might have started. We had some people that were in their 40s, 50s. The guy who was doing the shooting, he started real late. But there he was in the Olympics. And when you see those people, those athletes, you can see just by looking at them the value. When you look at this gemstone, when you look at this diamond, nobody's watching this program, looks at that diamond and says, oh, no, that's cheap. That's inexpensive. You can get that anywhere. No, you can't. You can't. This is peridot. This is a peridot in white gold diamond ring. Look at it. You see the value. Beautiful. So each one of these pieces has value because of the things that made it. How did it come together? The things that it's made out of, the way it was cut, the way it was fashioned, the way it was polished. All these things have value. And we can see that when we put our hands in the jewelry box. But the thing that most people don't get, when you see this, you don't understand what it took to get. You don't understand. The one thing that we don't see is all those hours in a pool. Hundreds and hundreds of hours in the pool. Miss parties, miss events, miss all types of things. Most of the athletes, I won't say all, most of the athletes have to work. There was, I think, I heard a story where one of the marathoners was a paralegal, full-time paralegal. There were athletes there with children, or they just had a child the year before. And here they are running the 4 by something, or the 200 meter run. Wow. They just had a baby, and somewhere within that, they trained before it, had the child, and then still say, okay, I'm going to go to the Olympics. Some of us Simone Biles had all types of mental things going on, but she still made it. That one athlete that had the Brazilian woman, that she suffered three, the European way, 3 ACL tears, 3 of them. I mean, most of us don't go back to competing with 1 tear. She had 3, and she's a gymnast. So there's no way she's getting around that injury. And yet she did it. And that's what we don't see. Those are the things that we don't truly appreciate when we watch the Olympics or really do anything. So what I wanted to talk about, when you look at this ring, this beautiful ruby ring, ruby and diamond ring, look at it. You see the beauty, you see the elegance of it, you see how it put together, but you don't know what it took to make it. You don't know where it came from. You don't understand what it took to find that, to notice that, to discover that. Look at this. So, because this show is basically about stories, that's the crux of the story, stories and value. Because as I say all the time, nothing has value without a story. And part of that story, this is the crown, this is the crown of Catherine the Great, the Russian Empress. Catherine the Great. And that red stone on top, those of you who were born in August, that's a spinel. That's the second largest spinel in the world. The first largest is in Queen Elizabeth's crown. Yeah, or the royal crown of Great Britain. The one that red stone that sits in the front, that's a spinel. But this is Catherine the Great. Diamonds and rubies and a spinel right at the top. Those of you born in August, happy birthday. Look at this. A blue diamond. A blue diamond. You know how rare a blue diamond is? Do you know how rare it is to see those athletes? We saw a collection of rare human beings all coming together in one place. As I always say, one brief shining moment. 10,714 athletes. And most of them went home empty-handed. They may have got that poster, I think. They got a little souvenir here and there, but most of them went home empty-handed, trained for years, decades, some of them. And they didn't win bronze, they didn't win silver, they didn't win gold. But that's not what they were. That's not what their dream was. Nobody went to the Olympics saying, well, I'm just going to be happy to be there. That's all. I mean, they went there to win. They went there to they trained to give themselves the best possible chance of being an Olympic champion. And so I already came in there thinking about that concept of value, because as a gemmological storyteller, I see the world like that. I see the world in terms of value. My mission in this program is to teach people about value, and the best way to teach people about value, in my opinion, is to show you how you see value in other things and allow you or impress upon you to ask the question, if this has value, if you believe that this, if it was real, is a 4,650 carat diamond, and this diamond, you would pay millions and millions of dollars for this diamond because of the size, because of the cut, because of the clarity, because of the way it interacts with light. Why can't we see that value in people? Why can't we see that value in ourselves? So what struck me when I was this pendant was a pendant designed by Napoleon Bonaparte, the Napoleon Bonaparte, not his brothers, not his cousin, the Napoleon Bonaparte the First, the Emperor of France. This is a pin or brooch that he designed for Josephine. He designed that. When he went to Egypt to fight in the Egyptian campaigns, he saw the artwork, the hieroglyphics, the ancient Egyptian symbols, and he came home and created this piece for Josephine. and it's priceless. It's priceless. He designed this. And but the only way you would know that, if you saw it, you'd go, "Oh, that's nice." And it's not big, it's not huge. It's like this little brooch, but it's priceless. Not because of just the materials, but when it was made, who made it? Provenance, Provence. Who owned it? Who designed it? That's how you determine the value of it. And every piece of jewelry that you have ever seen, every piece of jewelry that sits in that jewelry box, every athlete that attended, competed in the Olympic Games started once upon a time. All their stories started out the exact same way. Once upon a time, I was a little boy. Once upon a time, I was a little girl. Once upon a time, I saw my mother, my father, my uncle, my brother, my grandfather, someone in my life. I read a story. I watched the Olympics. How many athletes did you hear that there was one athlete that played for the American basketball team, and he remembered watching LeBron as a child, and here he is playing on the Olympic team with LeBron James. Once upon a time, he was a child, and now he's here. So what I called this show was Gemstones, the Olympics, and the stories that we choose to hear. Gemstones, the Olympics, and the stories that we choose to hear, because each one of those athletes, 10,714, every one of them heard a story. Someone told them a story. And they heard it. They heard it. They heard it with their ears. They heard it with their spirits. They heard it with their soul. And that's why they were able to run hundreds and thousands of miles. I think of that one athlete from Netherlands who won the bronze medal in, like, what, she ran the 5,000, she ran the 10,000, and then she turned around and won. She got bronze in the 5,000, bronze in the 10,000 or 15,000, and then she turned around and ran a 26.2-mile marathon and won gold. Someone told her a story. Someone told her that if she did that, if she trained, if she focused, if she had the discipline each and every day, think about it, for years, just for the hope. Just for the hope for one day. One day. Think about all the things that had to happen before she competed on that day. She had to train. She had to compete at different levels. She had to win different regular marathons, the Boston, the Chicago, the Paris Marathon. She had to establish herself. She had to compete at the city level, the regional level, the national level, the international level, for her country to choose. She was from the Netherlands. A person of color from the Netherlands, not Kenya, from the Netherlands, to represent her country. And despite everything that's going on in the world, she said, "Yeah, I can do this." That's the story that she chose to hear. And I don't know if you caught it. Some people watch it, some people, but there was a commercial that Nike did on the opening day. They showed it different times, but and I think they had showed it early on. I didn't see it early, so I literally saw it during the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. And to me, it was the greatest commercial I've ever seen in my life. Nike has done a lot of commercials over the years, but I had never seen a commercial that so spoke to everything, not only what the Olympics are about, but everything that gemology is about. The whole history of mankind, and I've said it many times, revolves around gemstones and precious metals. And people think about the actual stone, but they don't think about what it takes to get it. They don't think about how once upon a time somebody sat in their office on a ship on an island somewhere and they said, you know what? I want an emerald. You know what? I believe that there's gold. To the old timers, there's gold in them darn hills. We had to believe that. In 1848, 1849, when people from all over the world left their houses, left their families, left their countries for just a brief, just a chance to achieve gold. They didn't want a gold medal, they wanted gold. And everybody can't do that. So with this commercial, winning isn't for everyone. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And when I saw the reviews, when I watched it and saw the reviews, I was thinking, okay, everybody got this. Everybody, this is one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest commercials I have ever seen coming out of Nike. And people didn't get it. People were saying all kinds of comments. Oh, it was horrible. Oh, it was somebody who's a sociopath and all these things. And I just said to myself, do people realize what people do to get gemstones? Do people understand what it took? Especially, I mean, now it's, no, let me take that back. I was going to say now it's all mechanized and computerized and everything else, but that's not true. There are still hundreds and thousands of people each and every day right now in Africa, in South America, in Indonesia, in Asia, in Australia, who wake up every morning with just nothing but a pickaxe or a shovel looking for a gemstone. I saw a report just the other day, opals. There's a man in it's called Lightning Ridge in Australia, where some of the best opals in the world are found. And opals are found pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Opals are found in places where there used to be an ocean, and now it's all dried up. So imagine just digging a hole, looking around for different clues, different signs, digging a hole 10 times, 10, 100, 200, 300 feet deep, climbing into a hole. And I've shown you pictures of that over the last, 3-4 years. No special equipment, no workman's compensation, just digging a hole just for the chance of finding an opal. Winning isn't for everybody. So what we're going to do is I want to take some time to look at that commercial. I want you to see that commercial and I want to see, if you didn't watch it, I'm going to play the commercial for you. So this way you get a chance to see the analogy that I'm making. Because when you watch this commercial, you will see exactly, at least I hope, what it takes to find gemstones. The whole history of gemstones and precious metals, really, this commercial embodies the essence of that. And it doesn't only just speak for athletes, it speaks for so many of the things that we have to do to win. It's not the way, it's not the only way, but it's one of the ways. When we come back, we're going to look at the commercial. Here's a gem bit. Unlike most precious and semi-precious gemstones whose value is determined by weight, amethyst value is determined by the vibrancy of its color. Boy, I sure wish that it related to everything. Discover the value of your story. Listen to it. Just listen to the words. I'm going to put it on closed caption so you can see the words. And then I'll just play it through. Then maybe I'll play it again so this way we can go back to it. All right. So here we go.
I'm single-minded. I'm deceptive. I'm obsessive. I'm selfish. Does that make me a bad person? Am I a bad person? Am I? I have no empathy. I don't respect you. I'm never satisfied. I have an obsession with power. I'm irrational. I have zero remorse. I have no sense of compassion. I'm delusional. I'm maniacal. You think I'm a bad person? Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Am I? I think I'm better than everyone else. I want to take what's yours and never give it back. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. Am I a bad person? Tell me. Am I? Does that make me a bad person? Tell me, does it?
I get emotional when I see that commercial because when you really think about it, just the faces, just think about the focus, the dedication. And what was interesting to me when I saw the comments were how they were saying that, again, it was, this is, in fact, there's a kind of a spoof video that someone used the people, mass murderers, Ted Bundy, John Gacy, and they used some of the pictures with that voice underneath, am I a bad person? And I understand how they can do that, but that's not what the commercial was about. That's not what the commercial was about. The commercial was about the focus that it takes to win. When I saw this commercial, all because of what I do with Gemstones, all I could think about is all those hundreds and thousands of people over the centuries who had a dream of obtaining a gemstone, of owning, of holding something in their hand. Think about it. They had I always think about guys just getting on this nasty, dirty ship, going to the bathroom in a hole. They didn't have showers and things like that. You couldn't just jump in the water. You couldn't do those things. So all these guys that were there, knowing that they may not come back, knowing that they had a friend or they heard a story about someone who was killed, eaten, drowned, something happened. And yet they did it anyhow. You don't know. You ever notice how I don't really talk about the bad things about gemstones? The whole history of mankind, really, when you really think about the way gemstones are obtained, the countries, the people have been enslaved, the people, all the different things that gold is like the most destructive metal in the world. Millions of people have died for gold. Millions, literally. And yet that's not what we think about. All those athletes, what touched me was all those athletes, not touched me, what got me was all those athletes are beloved. But yet The question is, am I a bad person because I have these attributes? Let's look at it again real quick. Let's look at it again.
Am I a bad person?
Look at her focus. Look at her face. This is a little girl. This is a little girl. Look at her face. I don't know what she's playing, but if I'm facing a little girl that looks like that, I'm like, yeah, okay. Let me bring my A game because she's definitely bringing hers. She's definitely bringing hers. Look at LeBron.
Tell me, am I?
Look, LeBron James was a high school student. Look who LeBron, King James now. Think about how we felt when he won, when the United States team was going against France. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, France is serious about basketball. They love basketball like the Americans love basketball. The students that I had when I taught with it, well, even now, but when I was teaching with Seagull and going to France, or the French students were coming here, and we had graduate students or undergraduate students that came from a school called Amos. It was a sports management school. Oh, they loved basketball. They talked about basketball like it was religion. So imagine this is what LeBron James walked into. This is what Stephen Curry walked into. They walked into a country, home court advantage, home country advantage against a country that loves basketball. It would have brought them immense pride to play against Stephen Curry and all these other guys. And I'm not a huge basketball fan, so forgive me for not knowing all the names, but you know the names. You know what they do. You know what LeBron does. You know what Stephen Curry's like. But imagine what they had to do. Imagine how much energy, negative energy was about this, because they wanted to win.
I'm single-minded. I'm deceptive. I'm obsessive.
That's what you need to do to get a gemstone, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be single-minded. You need to be obsessive. Nothing stops you. When Pizarro came to South America looking for gold and emeralds, he didn't say, oh, well, boys, it's kind of rough here. Oh, let's see. There's 80,000 Inca warriors in encampment who had just finished a war with a civil war. They were trained battle. He had 250 guys. He had 250 guys who had to travel over a mountain and this is what they're facing. And his men was like, sir, we need to go back home. Pizarro was like, nah, we ain't doing that. We here. I'm selfish.
Does that make me a bad person? Am I a bad person? Am I? I have no empathy. I don't respect you.
That's what they did. That emerald that you're wearing, that gold that you're wearing, those diamonds, when you look at the history of gemstones and the places that they come from, nobody thinks about that. Nobody thinks about the people that dug up the gemstone. Nobody thinks about that. I have no respect for you, but that's what it takes. Nobody thinks about that. You just see the gemstone.
I'm never satisfied.
I'm never satisfied. So when England was going to India on a consistent basis, looking for gemstones, just because Queen Victoria had the Hope Diamond, Queen Victoria, King Louis the 16th, 14th, had the Hope Diamond, he didn't say, well, we're good. I got all the diamonds I wanted. No. He said he wants more. I'm never satisfied. This is the same Sha'Carri Richardson who last year, or the last Olympics in Tokyo, she was kicked out. People, including myself, I'm like, messed up whole career. Look at her. Think about the way she was running down in the relay. Was running so fast that she looked at her opponent as she just ran right past him, like the road runner did the Wile E. Coyote. I'm never satisfied.
I have an obsession with power.
Every every monarch, every queen, every emperor, every conquering industrialist uses gemstones to demonstrate their power. Where's the difference? Where's the difference?
I'm irrational. I have zero remorse. I have no sense of
This
compassion.
woman's in a wheelchair playing basketball. I got 2 legs and I probably can't play as good as her. She has no compassion. She doesn't care that I have legs and she doesn't. She's going to play. She's coming here to play, go or come, win or go home.
I'm delusional. I'm maniacal. You think I'm a bad person? Tell me. Am I? I think I'm better than everyone else.
Ronaldo, I mean, he knows he is the greatest in his heart, in his spirit, in his mind. He is the greatest soccer player in the world. Every time he comes on the court, every time he comes on the field, that's how he believes about himself. That's what it takes to win at that level. But yet we idolize them. We cherish them. We cherish them just like we do gemstones. We cherish, oh, did you see my diamond, my ruby? Did you see my sapphire? Oh my God, I love her jewelry.
Take what's yours and never give it back. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine.
What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. How many people in the history of the world went into a country and that's what they did? And that's what they said. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. God rest his soul. Kobe Bryant, he was the Black Mamba. People don't put that together. The Black Mamba is one of the most dangerous snakes in the world. You got what, like 30 seconds to live or 5 minutes or so to live if that one of them bites you? But yet we loved Kobe. Loved him. Is he a bad person? Think about it. Think about it. I mean, and the thing that got me, think about it. Nike made this commercial. They took some of the best people in different sports. And here is LeBron James. Here is LeBron James going towards the end of his career. And he was the MVP. He was the MVP. He helped bring America the gold medal in basketball against a very, 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 very good French team.
Bad person.
We celebrated.
Am I?
That woman right there, that punch, she won the bronze. They have a little smaller commercial. The same concept is winning is not for everyone. She tells her name. Her name, I think, is Candace, and her middle name is Winner. And she was part of the refugee team because she happens to be gay. She happens to be a gay woman, and in her country, she's not accepted, and she can't go back home because she's gay in her country, because being gay in her country means that it's almost a death sentence. So she talks about the commercial as her mother and father gave her, her middle name is Winner. Despite being ostracized, despite being picked on and bullied and disrespected because of her sexual orientation. And she said in the commercial that when she wins a medal, they will be calling her by her middle name, Winner.
Does that make me a bad person?
Think about it. This man has no legs. Look at his face, no legs. He doesn't care. Every person who has ever mined for a gem had that concept in his mind. We don't care. We're going to obtain that because it's there. Because that's what, it's beautiful. It's precious. Imagine being in your life with that mindset. Imagine doing the things in your life where you approached it. Winning isn't for everyone. Everyone doesn't lose, one doesn't win. The people who win, especially at that level, are single focused on what they want to do. They represent their country, they represent their family, they represent their culture, their life. They represent, and they came in there to win.
Does it?
That's what they did. That's what that commercial was about. When you look at Gemstones from now on, understand that someone once upon a time searched for it, looked for it, dug hundreds of feet, miles deep, for years and years and years to try to find that gemstone, to find that piece of that beautiful work of art. Think about the people that it takes, what it takes to cut and polish a gemstone. What it takes for the hope. First, you got to hope to find it. Then once you find it, what you got to recognize that it has potential. Someone took something, an ugly piece of misshapen stone, and said, this has potential. Imagine being able to do that for yourself. Imagine being able to see the beauty within inside yourself. I tell people, I've told you, 32, 33 years ago, I was homeless. I lived in a dumpster. I ate out of garbage cans. I think the longest time I didn't take a bath was 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Woo. But I knew inside of me that there was something more. And you have to understand that about yourself. There is no difference between gemstones and people. None. Other than one's living, one's dead. One's not alive. One's organic, one is inorganic. But the process that it takes to make it, the process that it takes to win is exactly what that commercial is talking about. That's what we witnessed. The Olympics is a jewelry box. The world's largest jewelry box that we have the honor of looking at every 4 years. We're seeing human beings. We're seeing the manifestation of years, decades of work, decades of dedication coming together for one brief shining moment. It's not just words, ladies and gentlemen. It's real. It's real. Think about all the athletes that went home. They didn't get a bronze. They didn't get a gold. They didn't get a silver. We got athletes now that are getting medals taken away from them for 4 seconds. 4 seconds. You want to diminish this woman's work for 4 seconds, and it wasn't even her fault. It wasn't even her fault. She has to live with that. She has to live with that. She had to prepare herself to do that level of training. What about that? The 4x4, the 4x100, where the American athletes they disqualified because think about all the practice. Think about how many times they ran that. And they were good. They were excellent, incredible. And one mistake, disqualified. How many ships sunk trying to get gemstones? How many men died? How many women died looking for that gemstone? Maybe not the one that you're actually wearing, but a ruby, a sapphire, a spinel. Cleopatra's favorite gemstone was peridot. I guarantee you, Cleopatra never dug for one. She had people that you will never know their names, you will never know who they were. All you see is Cleopatra's gemstone. But what I'm asking you to do, those of you who watch this show, thank you. I always tell you, thank you so much for support and watching this show. But understand, those gemstones would not have existed without those people that believed in what they can do, believed that they had what it takes to find a gemstone. To the men and the women, jewelry started. You know how reason why a lot of people of Jewish descent or Jewish heritage are in the jewelry industry, because once upon a time being a jeweler was like the lowest level profession you can get. This was during the time of mercantilism. Okay, when you picked the field and that was your field. I want to give a shameless plug to Robert James and the International School of Gemmology, because that's where I learned that. I didn't realize how, I always wondered how Jewish people got into so involved in the jewelry trade. Yeah, because back in the 18th century, yeah, let's just give it to the Jewish people. Yeah, that was a nothing job. And then once the price of diamonds started changing, they discovered more. Then the only people that knew how to cut a diamond were Jewish people. So now they had more diamonds. The demand was there. They had no one to cut it. So the people who were ostracized, the people who were looked down upon, now those are the people, the only people who can make that gemstone what they want the gemstone to be. And you have to believe in that story. You had to believe that the woman Tara who won the long jump, her husband has no legs. I was sitting there looking at, there's this African American woman with this white man, and I'm looking at this, the whole interracial relationship, and then I didn't realize that someone told me today, he doesn't have any legs. I'm like, what? Oh yeah, he's a Paralympic athlete. He doesn't have no legs, and he was born with deformed legs. It wasn't like something he just chose, and yet still he was there. He's competing, next week in the Paralympic. He was there. So you have two Olympic athletes going through it, culturally different, growing up culturally together, pushing each other, rooting for each other, believing in each other's story. Everybody can't do that. Winning is not for everybody. Everybody can't live like that. Everyone can't evolve to that level. So I invite you to watch that commercial. I invite you to think about your life, the things that you have succeeded in, the things that you had to overcome, and realize everybody can't do what you do. As the old saying goes, haters are going to hate. Yeah. Yeah, I love Michael Jordan. I mean, as far as, you talk about Michael Jordan. Look at all the stories report. He was a monster. He was a selfish, mean, rude monster, but that's what it took to win 6 championships. Kobe, all these Tiger, all these athletes, Serena. Remember Serena Williams screaming at the judges and everything else? Serena Williams is one of the greatest tennis players, if not the greatest tennis player in the history of tennis. We idolize her, but we don't think about what it took to make her. We don't think about, there's that movie about her father and what her father, here's 2 girls coming from LA, 2 black girls coming from LA. And yet their father saw more. He saw that they were gemstones. He saw that they were diamonds. They just needed to be polished. They just needed to be cut. They needed to be fashioned over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they did it. They kept on doing it, and they understood all the people that they beat because they didn't work as hard as them. They was always, you can't, the championships I've won, I tell people all the time, I can lose. I have lost, but you're not going to outwork me. You're not going to outwork me because I believe. And even when I lose and I have lost, Lord knows I have lost, I never got upset because I knew the work that it took for me to get there. When people ask me, "Oh, you were homeless," and they just like I just woke up one morning and I wasn't homeless anymore. No, it took work. I had to believe in the story. And I told you on this show the way my relationship with my mother, because my mother was an alcoholic and abusive in a lot of ways, but I realized that the gift that my mother gave me was the belief in reading. My mother made me read. My mother gave me a whole entire world because she made me read. She said, "Don't come home with anything less than a B." And I believed it. I believed the story. And that's what you have to do. Believe the story. Believe in yourself. See the gemstone in who you are. I don't care what gemstone you are, peridot, diamond, ruby, sunstone, amethyst, whatever gemstone you are. Whatever gemstone resonates with you when you're watching the show and go, yeah, I'm a peridot. I'm a topaz. I'm a pearl. Think about it. A pearl becomes something beautiful from something painful. It's a bacterial infection, ladies and gentlemen. A natural pearl comes from a bacterial infection that is in the sex organs of the oyster. If it's most of you will have cultured pearls. Cultured pearls come about because someone has to let an oyster grow to about teenage in oyster's years, and then crack the oyster up, implant a foreign object still in the sex organs of that oyster, close it back up, put it back in the water, and wait. And the irritation from that foreign object creates the beautiful pearls that you have wearing today. There is not a woman watching this program that has not experienced, because of the world we live in, there's not a woman in this or watching this program that has not experienced that level of pain. And yet, many of you, that's not what you see. When the world looks at you, they don't see that. They see a beautiful woman who takes care of her kids and her husband and her family and her partners and whoever. And everybody can't do that. Everybody doesn't believe in that story. Winning isn't for everyone. What you have to figure out, is it you? Which is a whole nother commercial, because that's what Gatorade is saying. Is it in you? So thank you for letting me talk about that commercial, because it's a beautiful, it's so, just the power of it, not to mention the music, the background. It's just the power of what it took. That's all I kept thinking the whole Olympics. What it took, win or lose, what it took to be there. And I hope those of you who watch the Olympics don't just think about how many medals we got or how many people who won. Think about what it took to stand on that podium and to hear your national anthem. Think about Grimes. I mean, she was in a Russian prison. She was in a prison. So imagine how she felt to not only win a gold medal for her country, but this country saved her. Imagine what the national anthem meant to her. Everybody couldn't do that. everybody couldn't believe in that story, that believe sitting in a jail, in a Russian jail, and we're not, it's not known for the accommodations, and believing that one day I'm not only going to get out, not only am I going to get out, but I will make it. And one day I will still be playing basketball for the country that saved me. So I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you take time to that's your homework assignment. Take time to think about what you experienced, what you got out of the Olympics, and how you can manifest that strength, that power, that dedication in yourself. So until next week, my name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a Gemmological storyteller. And what I want you to do in your life, today, tomorrow, all the time, is to take time to discover value of your story.